This is the way the code has spoken. If you are fortunate enough, or cursed, take your pick, to be born into the ultra macho, rigid warrior code of the Mandalorians, and of course, that would be the Star Wars spin-off featuring the most unyielding war cult this side of ancient Sparta. These words, "this is the way," leave no room for rebuttal. There is a way. It guides our lives, and the way has spoken. And oh, yeah, don't ever, ever, for any reason, remove your helmet, or we will shun you as a pariah. So, as another pop culture phenomenon would express the warrior code, when the Game of Thrones anti hero Jaime Lannister invested the valiant Lady Brienne of Tarth as the first woman knight in the history of the Seven Kingdoms, he spoke these words: "In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the father, I charge you to be just. In the name of the mother, I charge you to defend the innocent." Now, millions around the world wept and cheered when this scene aired for the first time, as millions more wept and cheered at the mind-blowing sight of a youthful Mark Hamill showing up as the one and only true Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, no less, to rescue the adorable Baby Yoda, as Grogu is known, in the climactic episode of The Mandalorian's second season. Now, to me, this says that millions of us secretly long to live by a code worth following, a way that may yet give meaning to our arid lives. I first heard the term sacred activism in early 2009, which happened to be a pivotal year in my life, as it turned out. And the following definition from mystic scholar activist Andrew Harvey burned itself into my heart. Sacred activism is the fusion of the mystic's passion for God with the activist's passion for justice, creating a third fire, which is the burning sacred heart that longs to help, preserve, and nurture every living thing. Now, in the 15 years since then, I've taken a number of outsized risks in the name of sacred activism, leaving my marriage, turning my life upside down, leaving a safe job with my spiritual community to take a hazardous freelance journalism assignment in Indonesia, exposing the corrupt financial elite of the planet, being ridiculed for attempting to lineally restore the original Order of the Knights Templar as the container for a new and enforceable International Court of Human Rights, the original Templars having been key movers behind Magna Carta, the underlying document of human rights in the West, which of course is now a fig leaf over a corrupt system of so-called international human rights law. So going on an alternate journalism whistleblower shows to expose big pharma, big telecom interests, which so massively benefited from the 5G CVVX phenomenon. And oh yeah, moving to the wonderful remote eccentric mystic haven of Crestone, Colorado, and where I left the old wannabe Templar movement behind in an effort to truly understand and practice the ancient sacred science from which the original Templars arose. And all the while, I've kept up my core occupation of singer and storyteller as best I can, writing 2 memoirs, recording and sharing sacred chants where I could, and doggedly developing what may yet prove to be a world impact revelatory documentary on the hidden spiritual life of a certain wildly popular global icon. Like anyone else, however, I grow weary, disillusioned, discouraged, beaten up. My brain stress fried and my heart devitalized, stumbling through errors, failures, and betrayals, as we all do. And yet, most likely because of my dogged adherence to the meditation path of my sacred teacher, Paramahansa Yogananda, I'm always nudged, so it seems, by an unseen hand towards ways of healing, to sacred places and dazzling wilderness where one's spirit can be restored. The most recent such merciful miracle led me to a sacred passage retreat in utter solitude, in total wilderness, under the guidance of the remarkable scientist, mystic, adventurer, activist, author, shaman, and master teacher John P. Milton, a founding father of the environmental movement who, over the last 50 years, has led thousands of people on transformative vision quests into wild nature. The only place, it seems, where we can shed the burdens of modernity and reconnect with our original indigenous selves, where through practices derived from ancient lineages, we can observe the outer nature of our worldly selves, witness the emotional tumult of our inner nature, and reconnect at last to our true nature, that transcendent self with a capital S, which can move beyond communion to true union with our beloved source. So 6 days of fasting on water in utter solitude on a remote beach in Baja California with no one but crabs, coyotes, snakes, and hundreds of square miles of organ-pipe cactus to talk to. And now this may seem akin to the medieval practice of the night's vigil, the fasting ordeal before the dubbing ceremony of elevation into the order. The fasting is not required. I just chose to keep things simple by not bothering with food, as fasting can significantly deepen meditation and has many other healing benefits. The effects of the sacred passage are still unfolding. I've gone in a few days from utter solitude in wild nature to being stuck in traffic on Sunset Boulevard on my way back to Colorado. And I am still integrating that very intense experience every step of the way. John Milton, in the integrative sessions afterwards, told us what often seems to happen with a sacred passage is that what is truly authentic to your soul and to your soul purpose becomes unignorable in your life, and you find that elements in your life, situations, jobs, relationships that are in the way of expressing your soul authenticity seem to drop away. So I can offer this. If you do indeed yearn to live a life of greater meaning, for a code to live by, a way to practice, I would encourage you to find time, to find a wild and beautiful place, and if possible, a qualified teacher, to give yourself the blessed experience of reconnecting to the core essence of your being, to the reason you came here, to the vision which has perhaps been your quest all along. And you may find afterward that your life can no longer tolerate inauthenticity, can no longer endure soul-killing compromise. You may end up making radical changes almost without intending to, as your soul reasserts its primacy as the guiding reality of your existence. Gazing at the endless waves, or watching the distant spout of passing whales, or simply observing the sun, the sky, and the quiet flow of your breath, you may hear your spirit whisper to you, this is the way. Thanks for being with me. See you again.